Hi, this is Rick Adams from practicalcsm.com, and welcome to part 2 of a 3-part podcast series I recently recorded with Ariel Feder about his recent book, Sellosophy, The Art and Science Behind B2B Sales and Business Development. Now, whilst this book is about B2B selling, there are a lot of great ideas in it that can equally be applied to customer success management, and I therefore highly recommend giving it a read. But for now, here is part 2 of my interview with Ariel.
So what should you focus on if you were recruiting? What is it that you're looking for primarily? You know, over and above everything else, what are you?
First of all, integrity. First of all, the most important thing for me is integrity for your own organization. Okay, because if you are creating a funnel that doesn't exist, it will create a lot of problems for the organization.
I like that a lot.
Integrity.
Yeah. So you only do get like one chance at creating a first impression, but also once you've created your impression, you know, it's hard won, but actually easily lost.
Yeah.
And much as we would love our customer to remember the hundreds of touch points that went well, you know, it's the one touch point that doesn't go well that can stick. And I think it's your point about integrity is really, really important. Is that if we ever say something and we don't do it, that is very hard for a customer to forget.
But this, we're talking about the approach to customer, the integrity in front of the customer. There is also integrity in front of your own company.
Absolutely.
When the salesperson is creating a funnel, and the funnel has, let's say, not real opportunities, okay, or the products that he mentioned, or the features that the customer needs.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a disaster for any startup, and it's a big problem for even large corporation, because the resources that will be involved in developing the solution for the customer will just, you know, they never will come back. Okay, this is a lost time and lost effort. And the second thing that I saw when you are recruiting new people, usually, you know, engineer will sell good to engineers. A lawyer will sell to lawyers.
Okay.
So it's very easy to build credibility in front of the customer if you have the same values, the same background.
You have the same language. Yeah.
Same language, same values, same background.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's very important, even if the person is not very outgoing, you know, and pushy, if he had the credibility in front of the customer, because both of them are engineers or both of them are lawyers,
couldn't
it
agree
really
more.
will help to build this working relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I describe that as industry expertise, and it's the industry of the customer, not our industry, that we're interested in. It might be the same. And of course, if we sell, because we might be selling products and services to a wide variety of industries, in which case what we might need to think about who we will recruit and make sure that we cover all bases. It may, I mean, if we sell, I don't know, say we sell accounting software. Okay, so the industry there is not the industry of because you know, accountants are in every type of business, right? They're in automotive and manufacturing and retail banking and whatever, but their profession is the industry that we need to be the domain expert in, because we sell to the accountant, therefore we've got to understand the accountant. So we want someone who has an accountancy background potentially,
exactly,
and then go in and understand what good means, right? Understand what types of challenges they're likely to be facing, what types of fears they have, what motivates them, what keeps them awake at night, those sorts of things.
Yeah, so sometimes it's better to take some, for instance, we took this industry of accounting. So you can hire an accountant and put him on customer-oriented role, like customer success or post-sale support. And then you can move him for pre-sale support and then to account management or sales. But his background in accounting will help him to open doors and build.
That's the strength. Yeah, that's the bit that like gets that trust relationship going with the customer, which is so important. Yeah. Okay. So I totally agree with you on that. Okay. So you've got into your market. You've recruited your sales team. How do you motivate them? How do you activate them? How do you make sure as best you can that they are successful in what they need to do.
Yeah, this is a difficult subject to talk about in 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, in 2 minutes, please. Yeah.
But there is two ways to approach it. One way is to go with Maslow, right? The pyramid of needs. So first of all, give them basic needs, and then give them love.
Okay, so just to make sure everyone's up to speed, what you're talking about, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this was like a psychological concept that we're not going to be worrying about luxuries if we haven't got the basics. So we start with the real basics of food and shelter and safety and those sorts of things, and even sort of like sexual needs and things like that. And they are all we can think about until we've got those resolved, and then we can start to relax, as it were, and think about higher level problems, right? So just bring that in.
Which are belongings, okay, to be part of a team, recognition, then the holy grail, which is the self-actualization. And the self-actualization is when your sales manager or a customer success manager is performing at his best. So first of all, you need to take care of all his basic needs, and he needs to be part of the organization. It's very difficult in our times because of the COVID, everybody working from home.
That's a great example, isn't it? I mean, if you're stressed because you're worried about health, it's very difficult to be a really good salesperson, right?
Or you just have been recruited by the company and you're working from home and you never visited the headquarters and you don't feel belong.
Or you don't know what to do. You don't feel you're really well trained, so you haven't got the right understanding of how to do what you're doing. You don't feel you're being supported. Yeah, great, really good example.
On the other hand, the other motivation, which we know from psychology, is the Viktor Frankl motivation that is talking about the reason of being.
Okay.
So if a person have a reason to live, some big idea that he is following, and he doesn't need all the rest. He doesn't need the basics need, etc. And there are a lot of examples for that I'm describing in the book. I'm trying to combine those ideas together. But where we are seeing it...
So can I just check again my understanding? So is it Viktor Frankl, did you say?
Yes.
And so I'm thinking here, so because I'm not familiar with this, so just to check my understanding, this might be somebody like they want to climb Everest. And even though it is dangerous, and they're actually going without like safety and to an extent food and shelter and etc. And they're prepared to do all of that in order to meet their ambition of being the person that they believe they are, which is the person who has to go and climb that mountain.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. All right, got it.
You have another example of crusaders. Let's say a French crusader that living with his family, eating well, drinking wine, and then just leaving everything to go to the Holy Land for 3 years campaign with no love, no belonging, no food, no shelter. This is
right.
Why is he doing that? So this kind of mentality is usually we can see in startups. So sometimes you see people.
We'll put up with the hardships because we see this thing ahead of us that is our ambition that we really want to achieve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you have the belief, right? You have a vision, like when you are working in startup, and you can motivate your people by that. This is good enough. But if you don't have it, then you need to go to the Maslow pyramid of needs.
Okay.
And there are certain companies, like I have different some friends that work in different companies, and even companies like Apple, okay, which can motivate their people with different goodies, salary.
Of course.
They still have the first part of the vision in place.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that Apple's a great example that you mentioned, because I think that you could argue that its employees and its customers and even perhaps its investors are all, like, I say all, to a large extent, are really signed up to the Apple vision. They're believers. It's unfair. I kind of want to almost compare them to a religion. I'm going to get into trouble if I do. But I feel it's almost got its priests and its acolytes. And you see, and obviously Steve Jobs is no longer with us, but you watch those old videos when he comes on stage, he's being worshipped. And the device, which we we all bow down to. You could go quite a long way with Apple and religion if you wanted to compare them, which I think is fascinating.
Exactly, Rick. I totally agree with you. So if you have such a leader in your company, even if your sales manager can make people believe, let's say, that we have a certain goal to be the best, right? We have bad products, we have bad market, but we will be the best salespeople, and people will believe into it, then he can, even reduce a little bit the benefits. But if it cannot be done and people don't think this vision, in their daily work, then we need to increase the benefits and follow the Maslow pyramid.
And so as a VP for customer success or VP for sales, having this strong vision oneself and being able to tell that story and to get others as excited as you are about this journey that we're all going on together and this wonderful thing that we're creating within our team, and how we are helping our customer to achieve their goals, and how fantastic that is so powerful in building your team, right?
Yeah, but we need to be careful not to go to buzzwords and ceremony. We actually need to do it by ourselves. So for instance, one of the examples is that in this book, I mentioned the company named Patagonia. And
that's a clothing company, right?
Yeah. And it's not just clothing, it's also sport and outdoors gear. So their CEO, the person who started the company, has a saying, "Let my people go surfing." So every time that there is a big waves, a good weather for surfing, everyone can just leave their working place and go surfing. How much do you think it costs for the company? A lot, right? Think about it.
I guess it depends where they're based. If I'm, but assuming that they're based somewhere where the surf is up fairly regularly, I would have thought that could be quite expensive.
Probably not in Dallas, but let's say that in the East Coast or West Coast, and there are waves there, so people just leaving their place, and he is okay with that, and he actually, pushing that on all levels. So he can not just talk the talk, but he can actually walk the walk. And this is the difference between having a vision and making your people believe in your vision.
Okay, so there's got to be substance behind it. So you can only say it for so long, right, before you have to do it.
When profit and values contradicts, you choose your values. Otherwise, people will not believe in your vision. And everybody knows that, right? So this is also a major thing in my book, because there are so many books that already wrote that, but people still don't do it. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to go to the ancient philosophy, to ancient Chinese philosophy, to ancient Greek philosophy, and show that the same ideas that we are using in business was already written 2,000 years ago, and they were still right then. So if it were right then and it's right now, maybe, even though that it is counterintuitive for you to implement those ideas, you should still implement them, and maybe then you will be more successful in what you do.
Well, I think it's a really interesting point, Ariel, because I am by no means, not only am I not a scholar in ancient history, I'm not even an amateur, but so far as I can, so the earliest sort of writings are around sort of 10,000 years. Okay, we're talking about like the Sumerians were the first to really sort of write stuff down, right? And if you go back to those writings, there doesn't seem to me to be any difference in human beings whatsoever, in terms of their ambitions, their desires, their motivations. It seems to me that humans are exactly the same now as they were then. And if that is the case, then whatever they say is still 100% relevant.
I think we share the same interpersonal values with the people that wrote the Gilgamesh legend 5,000 years ago. So we both believe in integrity.
Is it 5,000? Have I overstated it? Okay.
I think 5,000. Maybe I'm.
Okay. As I said, I'm not even an amateur, so I'm perfectly happy to be corrected on it. But in any case, to my mind, I do feel like you. I do feel that what they talk about in terms of desires and ambitions, and why people, for the sake of argument, go to war, no different whatsoever. So therefore, therefore the philosophy that has been handed down for many thousands of years before even it got written down. I think there is a lot to be learned from it. I really do.
Okay, that's it for part 2. Part 3 will be published very soon, and to get access to all our free stuff and to make sure you get notified when more of it is released, why not sign up at practicalcsm.com/free-member.